In the early morning of October 19, 2025, Ukraine's strategic intelligence AI system detected a strange signal under the thick ice of Kharkiv, and within seconds the dream of peace had to be put on hold. A Ukrainian encrypted file, Iron Requiem, confirmed Russia and North Korea had formed a military alliance and planned to wipe out Kharkiv. This heinous plot took place just days after the US completed the delivery of the Aegis ballistic missile defense system, worth up to $4.2 billion. Within a few hours, on the northeastern border of Ukraine, 15 Chanmahaho tanks, 2 Pantsir S-1 launchers, 3 EW electronic warfare vehicles, and especially a North Korean Buk M2 missile system with the ability to destroy targets flying at a distance of 2.5 to 50 miles, at an altitude of up to 21 miles. And the announced target destruction rate is up to 99%, and all are rolling towards the Ukrainian border. In addition, this force also brings more than 300 soldiers with the arrogance and confidence that no one can defeat them. But that illusion is about to be crushed because Ukraine has deployed Operation Ghost Falcon, a squadron of 35 FPV drones. So, can power and huge steel equipment overcome the courage of a small country? Let's look at the reality and explore with us right now. Inside the fortified bunker in northeastern Ukraine, where the SOVA-9 AI listening network of Ukraine was installed, an unusual signal was detected at 2 a.m. on October 19, 2025. The content confirmed that Moscow officially requested North Korea to cooperate in jointly breaking through Ukraine's defense system before winter. Although 8 days earlier, the US had completed the handover of the Aegis defense system to protect eastern Ukraine. This system includes AN/SPY-1 radar, interceptor missiles such as SM-3, and is deployed on both warships and ground-based missile defense stations such as Aegis Ashore, with a total value of up to $4.2 billion. But instead of reconciliation, the Kremlin turned its back on betrayal and colluded with North Korea with the promise of sharing technology and fuel. North Korea, driven by its insatiable greed, agreed without a second thought. The coalition convoy moved in an eerie silence. The engines were shielded by an anti-electromagnetic shield. Russian satellites guided and continuously scanned the border terrain. Down in the bunker, data scrolled across Kiev's screens like a death sentence for Ukraine. For the first time since the war began, Ukraine faced a combined Russian-North Korean force, equipped with a formidable electronic defense. The numbers displayed on the screens, fuel levels, troop numbers, weapons load, all indicated that a hurricane was coming within the next 48 hours. 2:30 a.m. the Ukrainian frontline command was in chaos because of the satellite signal warning that there were 15 tanks, 3 EW electronic warfare vehicles, and more than 300 soldiers approaching the border and still 24 miles away from this bunker, moving at a speed of more than 40 miles per hour. A steely voice was heard by Ukrainian Major General Mikhailo Drapati. "They will attack our Kharkiv power grid." This power grid plays a very important role in the national energy network. If this defense line is broken, 3 million people will be plunged into darkness. There is not much time left and there is no huge equipment, but only quick minds and brave fighting spirit. And after only a few hours, more than 400 engineers, volunteers, and reservists together assembled and tested the UAV. Each drone cost only $1,200, totaling $384,000, cheaper than a Russian cruise missile. But its destructive power could wipe out an armored vehicle worth $2.7 billion, the pride of the Russia-North Korea alliance. These warriors were called the Cheap Fighters, warriors of cheap technology. Each drone carried a jamming device or a 55.12-pound shaped charge warhead, all homemade from domestic materials. The goal was to blind the enemy's entire electronic system within the first 15 minutes. 3:10 a.m., just 10 minutes after the drone was activated, the dark ground of Kharkiv region shook with the sound of propellers. 10 jamming drones flew at an altitude of 656.17 feet, gliding close to the forest canopy. Their sole mission was to blind all enemy radars for 15 minutes. 5 other drones hid deep underground, just waiting for the North Korean tanks to pass by, confirm the target, and rush into the tank's engine compartment to blind. The frequency lock signal was confirmed at 2:55 a.m. The generator roared in the bunker. There were about 35 red drone icons on the screen, flashing like fire in the dark. The Ghost Falcon system was activated. There was no time for doubt, only courage and accurate identification of the enemy's path. 3:20 a.m., the jamming signal was activated. An invisible storm broke out. The screen in the Russian command vehicle flickered. The data disappeared. The radar signal was distorted. The $60 million electronic countermeasure system melted in silence. 15 FPV suicide UAVs approached the enemy formation. The Pantsir S-1 gun fired 24 missiles in 30 seconds, shooting down 3 targets. But the remaining 7 dived down like living arrows. One UAV crashed straight into the Pantsir antenna, exploding. Another penetrated the fuel tank, causing a 4,000 degrees Celsius explosion, shaking the entire valley. The Chon Maho-2 tanks immediately lined up. 300 North Korean soldiers opened fire indiscriminately into the smoke. But the drones were too small, too fast, too many. In just 8 minutes, 6 tanks were burned. 100 soldiers passed away on the spot. Communication was completely broken. A Buk M2 missile was launched in the wrong direction, exploding right at the command post. In the chaos, Ukrainian UAVs pursued the remnants with heat sensors. Each group of fleeing soldiers was discovered and destroyed. 3:58 a.m. The battle is over. 10 tanks, 2 air defense systems, 190 soldiers are wiped out, but Ukraine still retains its forces. As the sun rises, the Ukrainian rescue team enters the burned area. Smoke and heavy metal fumes hang in the air. Among the ashes, they retrieve data hard drives and missile fragments. Evidence of Russia transferring weapons directly to North Korea. Total enemy damage: 700 million USD, 13 armored vehicles destroyed, hundreds of soldiers gone, but no Ukrainian soldiers killed. The battle comes to an end and the North Korean unit retreats in disarray, shooting down 2 rockets, one of which lands in a nearby grain warehouse and injures 12. Meanwhile, Russia denies any responsibility. North Korea calls it a training group. But satellite images showed a burn scar more than 3 miles long, as clear as the traces of hell. NATO and international news agencies confirmed that the tank chassis number matched the North Korean 2nd Armored Brigade. The West called it the greatest asymmetrical victory of the decade. As the smoke of battle faded into the pale light of dawn, the green and yellow flag rose once more over the broken horizon. Its fabric, torn and burned, fluttered stubbornly in the cold morning wind, a symbol that refused to die. At the stadium west of Kharkiv, the ground trembled not from artillery anymore, but from the steady rhythm of engines and human hands rebuilding. 43 ambulances, 9 fire brigades, and 2 mobile field hospitals worked tirelessly through the night, turning chaos into order, despair into survival. The air reeked of diesel, gunpowder, and smoke. But above all, it carried the sound of life returning. Through the mud, under the twisted remains of tanks and scorched metal, Major General Mikhailo walked slowly, his boots sinking into the battlefield that had nearly become a graveyard. He paused among the wrecks, eyes scanning the blackened horizon, then said quietly, almost to himself, "They wanted to wipe Kharkiv off the map, but instead, they wiped themselves off it." His words echoed through the command channel and into the hearts of every soldier who had fought that night. The city had bled, but it had not bowed. In the underground shelters, children were drawing drones and flags on the cracked concrete walls, their crayons tracing the heroes they had never met but would never forget. Outside, elderly men and women stood by the roadside, saluting each passing convoy of exhausted soldiers. Some wept silently. Others smiled through tears, whispering prayers of gratitude. What they had witnessed was not merely a military victory. It was a resurrection of spirit, a living proof that courage and intelligence could stand taller than numbers and machines. This was vindication, not just for the soldiers, but for an entire nation that refused to be erased. A reminder to the world that a small country with the will to think, adapt, and endure can overcome an empire built on arrogance, aggression, and cold steel. And as the sun finally pierced the clouds above Kharkiv, the light fell upon that flag once again, battered, smoke-stained, but free. A new balance of war had been redrawn. 35 drones, together worth only $459,000, had obliterated a mechanized force valued at $4.2 billion in less than 48 minutes. In that short span of time, the world's understanding of warfare shifted forever. This was no longer a contest of size or firepower. It was the dawn of a new era, a war of intelligence, not of strength, where data, precision, and algorithmic instinct outweighed every tank and missile on the field. The impact was immediate and global. Russia denied the incident, calling it propaganda. North Korea remained silent, hiding behind diplomatic shadows. But the truth could not be erased. Satellite telemetry, infrared records, and decrypted data streams from multiple nations confirmed what Moscow and Pyongyang feared most: that the attack had been real, that the alliance they built in secrecy had shattered in a single night. What once stood as an axis of aggression had collapsed not beneath a nuclear strike, but beneath the resolve of a smaller, defiant nation. Ukraine's victory was not measured in explosions or territory, but in faith. Faith in intelligence, in resilience, in the right to exist. Against all odds, reason had triumphed over brutality. As dawn rose over the Dnipro River, the smoldering sky mirrored the silent return of the drones. Their wings scorched, their batteries drained. They glided home like exhausted soldiers who had given everything. No celebration, no parades. Only the quiet hum of burnt circuitry echoing the price of freedom. And in that silence, the message was unmistakable, resonating across continents and capitals alike. In this war, Ukraine's greatest weapon is not steel nor code, but courage itself. The unbreakable courage of a nation that refuses to vanish. And what is the final message of this battle? When 35 small, low-cost UAVs built not in secret labs but in ordinary workshops accomplished the impossible. In just 48 minutes, they dismantled an arsenal worth more than $620 million, crippling an enemy convoy protected by some of the most advanced defenses on Earth. Yet, through all the chaos, not a single Ukrainian soldier was lost. That fact alone sent shockwaves through every military command room across the globe. It proved that in the new age of warfare, power is no longer defined by size or cost, but by ingenuity and will. A fleet of drones, each worth less than a car, outsmarted a billion-dollar war machine. This was not a miracle, it was the result of precision, intelligence, and courage working in perfect harmony. Cheap technology, great intelligence, and unstoppable courage together, they have rewritten the balance of power in modern warfare. No superpower can ignore that truth anymore. The battlefield has changed forever, and the side that adapts, not the one that intimidates, will prevail. If you found this video insightful, please leave a like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Your engagement inspires us to keep exploring the stories, technologies, and unseen operations that shape the wars of tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next chapter in the evolution of modern warfare.